Okay, we are now live, and I'm here, excited to have here with me Marivi, our dear friend from Telefónica. Welcome to Growth Hackers. Welcome everyone to this AMA Ask Me Anything session with Marivi Briz. She's head of product development at Telefónica. But before we start, and I call Marivi in here, let me just invite you for our annual conference. It's the first time for us at Growth Hackers. We're super excited about that. The first time we are holding, for obvious reasons, we are holding the Growth Hackers Conference 100% virtually this year. So go to growthhackersconference.com and get your free ticket. Yes, the clock is running because the free tickets are available up until the end of this month, the end of July. So go to growthhackers.com right after this live. No worries, I will remind you of that towards the end. So without further ado, Maria Virtudes Briz, also known as Marivi, is currently a head of product development at Telefónica. Telefónica, for you who don't know, is a Spanish multinational telecommunications company headquartered in Madrid. And it is one of the largest telephone operators and mobile network providers in the world. It provides fixed and mobile telephony, broadband, subscription television. It operates also in Europe and the Americas. Since Marivi joined Telefónica 9 years ago, she has been working in challenging environments such as Guatemala, Madrid, London, São Paulo, and Santiago, Chile. During those years, she has been changing areas and job roles, but the common factor is that she has been able to understand and translate customer needs into digital solutions using different methodologies like design thinking, design sprint, agile, lean startup, and of course, it all relates to growth hacking and to the growth methodology. And that's why we invited Marivi here. Marivi, we had a list of numerous questions. That's so exciting. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me, for opening this space. I'm super thrilled. I will try to answer all these questions that all the people wrote in the AMA page. Meanwhile, I will try to reply as well here with you some of the main questions, and hope everybody enjoys and take out of the most of this experience. Thank you.
Definitely. Yeah, thank you so much. I will get right to it because I said we have many questions here for you. And the first one comes from Edgar Castellanos. And he asks, how do you approach, Marivi, setting success metrics for a new feature that if this one doesn't necessarily involve a key funnel? And he would like to get your thoughts on what other factors he should consider when doing this.
Okay. So first of all, hello to Edgar. I hope you are hearing this directly in live. Thanks for your question. Actually, it's one of the main challenges that we still have to define metrics. For us in Telefonica, it's been useful to use two kind of metrics. The first one is the behavioral metrics. So when we are launching new features, we cannot compare it with others in the market or with other features within our main product. So we use information resulted from user actions such as the usage of the range of devices, the visited content, the apps downloaded, the navigation paths, purchasing decisions. I mean, we have different identified points or touch points in our service, and having that in consideration is what we call the behavioral metrics. And this is a great metric, so you can try to use it in your products. Another one success metric for us is the customer effort score. I don't know if you guys know this metric, but it measures the amount of effort that a customer had to exert in order to realize that he's in one section of the product, or if he's making a task, or if he or she is getting an issue resolved. So these both metrics for us are really important. and when we do not have something to compare, we always use them. And why we use these kind of metrics? Because for us, the key factors to consider must be around the customer, around his experience or her experience. And the main problem for us is that maybe we fall all the time for defining business metrics. And the main outcome is not just a business, it's what the user has, what the user expects, and what the user satisfaction is within our service. So that's for us like the two
Definitely.
main
And how
metrics
do you
that we can
qualify?
recommend.
Now it's a follow up question from myself. How do you qualify them between being input metrics or output metrics? Especially this last one, the experience one. When do you know that this metric is giving you some information that you can use to generate a new outcome other than the outcome itself?
Yeah, like for example, we use a lot user testing and user research. We have a UX team that is really expert in these areas, in these topics. So we try to define the perfect path, and that's for us like the main ground. And then we ask different customers in different markets to generate the task or to create, to go through all the process. And sometimes we are very surprised because some users find shortcuts or some users don't cannot complete the task. So that gives us a lot of information in order to know if it's easy for the user or not, and what parts should we change, or if there are some communications or misunderstanding from our side or the customer side. So for us, that's like totally input, like the whole journey. And the output
Yeah.
should be like how the customer felt, what was the sensation that the customer had during the journey,
Mm-hmm.
and if he or she was surprised, or if he could hack the journey during the test. That's another good input for us.
Interesting, interesting. Thanks, Marivi. Also from Edgar, he had three questions for you. So the second one is, how do you coordinate the various products of your company, the various offers between all of the PMs?
That's a good one. And I think that I will ask Edgar to take a coffee with me, first of all, because we have a lot of interesting conversation around these kind of challenges that we have, like managing products within our companies. Um, we did some experimentation around how to manage the tasks and the workload of our product managers. And we started to create a structure of product managers related or process oriented. So we had the PLC, the product life cycle, and it has different stages: the conceptualization stage, the ideation stage, the construction, and the deployment. So what we did is that we had some PMs that were specialized in each stage, and we got there a lot of good outputs. We got, for example, that uh, a lot of PMs could be able to manage a lot of like multiple features at the same time. And we had like at the end also a good delivery. But in the other hand, we had the trouble that we didn't have the end-to-end ownership. And in some handovers in the stages, we lost a lot of information, a lot of value for our feature. So at the end, it didn't was the best experiment. So we learned a lot of from that, and we moved to a new model. And now the product managers are feature oriented. So instead of being in every stage of the process, they are completely owners from the end to end, and they go through all the process.
Mm-hmm. Makes
This
sense.
this
Mm-hmm.
is much better for us because at the end we just have one person that has all the information and make sure that all the things are being
Mm-hmm.
in order, or the all the
And how do you
requirements.
deal with the fact that this feature impacts the others, and how do they communicate with each other?
Yeah, so we started to create a lot of like sessions specifically just to coordinate. And most of the time, we try to work in pairs. And that's for us really nice because if we work in pairs, in any case, we have holidays, there is always one person that has all the context. And if we are working together, like it's better to make sure or to foresee some issues or use cases that if you are working by yourself, like it's hard to work. So at the end, this new model is working much better. We are feeling more comfortable. However, we are not able to handle that much features that we would like to have. Like our pipeline is being reduced, but the features that we are deploying are with high quality and with an end-to-end ownership in the process.
Quality versus quantity. That's I
There you
think
go.
that's one thing that most product developments deal with, and sometimes that changes accordingly to the stage of the company or the stage of the product itself, for sure.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
the last one from Edgar, he wants to dig a little bit deeper into those metrics that you were mentioning before. So he asks you about the how the selection of a metric. How do you choose one of these metrics that you have chosen, especially these main two ones, among several others? Why these two and not others?
Yeah. Like we try always to get out of the most of our product, and we are very customer centric. So we are really obsessed of make sure that our customer is enjoying our features, enjoying our product. So we try to go beyond not just the quantitative analysis, but the qualitative analysis as well. So we have a complementary analysis. So for us, the behaviorals are the ones that are hard to have a KPI, a quantitative KPI. But if you find a way to understand it and to mix it with other quantitative KPIs, it's super nice to have. And the other one, the customer effort, it's part of for us the user experience and the UI. It's one of the most the differentiate factor in our service. So we wanted to make sure that we are measuring all that, and we get all the input from the users. So that's a good way to make sure that our product is moving in the direction that we are tracing.
That's great. Thanks, Marivi, for this. Another question comes from Vaibhav, and he wants to know, I would like to keep it simple and short. What is your most common practice when building a marketing strategy? So beyond product, moving these products into the market, what is the go-to or the go-to marketing steps that you make sure are there every time?
Like it's hard to be short trying to answer this question as well, even
Yeah.
though the question is short. I think that like a marketing strategy sets the overall direction of the goals, um, or where do we want to get, and it gives our direction for the next years. So we need to make sure that the marketing strategy it's in place. Um, it's really hard to work in a specific marketing plan in a big company like Telefónica without involving all the other stakeholders. So for me, one of the main requests is that while creating the marketing strategy, you have to involve all the areas that are working around the product and get all their input. Um, the other thing is that the marketing strategy it needs to grow, needs to evolve over time, and you need to keep it changing while the market and the business are changing as well. So you need to review it just to make sure at least every quarter that you are in the way. Or our most common practice is that we try to use personas and business model canvas to resume what's the marketing strategy, at least from the product side. And after we have that, with that input, the marketing teams try to split in three main buckets or three main parts, which will be the social media marketing strategy, the content, that is going to be generated or differentiated, and the advertisement part. That's for us, at least in Telefonica, the common practice when working with marketing strategies.
That's great. That's so insightful. Thanks, Marivi. Just a hello from Javiera Sanchez. She says you have an awesome UX team in Telefonica.
Thank you very much. And we miss
Yeah,
you.
and another question from Sagnik. He says that he's heading to become a telecom product marketing manager. So, could you please share some of the growth experiments and data-driven decisions relevant to telecom products that we can learn from, and also possible results that could be achieved?
Well, first of all, congratulations, Sagnik, and welcome to the telco world. I think that the telco world is a mix of entertaining and challenging. So welcome on board. You will have a lot of good moments. I would love to share what's going on with Telefonica and then answer finally the question, right? Telefonica has been changing very fast during the past years, and we are applying a four platform strategy. What's this? This strategy was created to drive digitalization by transforming processes and technology. So the four platforms are: the first platform is the physical assets that we have. So we are doing their experiments and a lot of working with the network transformation, the virtualization, the deployment of 5G. Then we have the second platform, the second layer, which is the OSS and the BSS. Every country and every business needs to have an automation. The IT systems need to be integrated and need to be orchestrated. So we have the first and the second. The third one is the digital products and services, which are offered and created by Telefonica or can be offered by third parties that are our partners. And the fourth platform is the cognitive power. So the cognitive power includes the analytics, the artificial intelligence, and the user experience through voice. So with these four platforms, Telefonica is trying to go ahead with the digital transformation. Me and my team, we are working in the third layer, in the third platform, which is the digital product and services. And we have been part of a transformation, evolving from the project management to the product management. And some examples of growth experiments that we have been doing include the registration process of the digital products, because we need to make sure that we integrate the second platform. So, for example, the registration process should be the same for all the countries. However, in Brazil, we have some issues because the telco bought locally another companies, so they are still doing the integration of the systems, and this complicates the registration process. So we did a lot of growth experiments around that, also around the offers and the pricing and the bundles. Like, we are working with different partners, and we are trying to give to the users good offers. So we are doing experiments around that as well. Another experiment is the new user journeys. The idea is that a customer can hire different digital services using the internal Movistar app, the Telefonica app. And we had to do a lot of experiments there because we weren't sure that this idea would move in a good direction. And at the end, we launched it in all the countries. So we have Mi Vivo, Meu Vivo y Mi Movistar in 8 countries deployed, and it's been really successful. But we did a lot of experimentation around. And I mean, I have a lot of examples like that, but I think that what might be interesting for you is what's the method, because sometimes the experiments are very specific in very specific cases. So if you understand the method, maybe you can apply it to what you will find in your new telco role. So for us, to resume in 3 quick steps, we have to create growth experiments. First, make an analysis. So make sure that you have the performance data, the behavioral insights, like the ones I mentioned to Edgar, or the hypothesis designs. That's the first stage, the analysis. Then when you already have identified the problem or the hypothesis, then go through the ideas and prioritization process. What's this? Just make sure that you understand the problem and that you are creating a good experiment around. Try to do periodic experiments and try to measure them as much as you can so you can improve it in every iteration. And the third one is the experimentation by itself. So once you already have the analysis, then you have the ideation and the prioritization, then you move to the experimentation. Here in the experimentation stage, I think that is important to define first the number of tests, to follow up the results, and to make sure that you are comparing what you were having as an hypothesis and how can you trace it and compare it with the result that you have. And I think here, Emilia, that Growth Hackers here has a great tool to prioritize and to use the ICE score invented by Sean Ellis. So
Yes,
you can
definitely.
create and keep traceability of the experiment. So I don't know
Yeah,
if you can tell us
I
a bit.
love that you bring that up, that you bring that the methodology behind is actually the common point between not only all telecom companies where this friend of ours is entering this world right now, and you have been there for a decade, and still enjoying the methodology, still taking a lot of results from it. But at the same time, this methodology also connects the companies that are moving forward and improving their products, improving and modifying their products to a larger audience or a global audience, or even entering new markets. It goes not only for telecom, but for actually any company that we've seen from thousands
Mm,
and thousands all of these years, companies in different continents, companies in different industries, even governments are using this methodology to improve how they develop and deploy new projects into cities, into states and countries. So definitely I love this lecture. I was here like I'm feeling like a student hearing from you.
no, but
You're in
that's
the
our story.
battlefield every day. And definitely
Yeah,
I can connect. We do the same here at Growth Hackers with a completely different product. It's a software, a SaaS business, but at the same time, that's exactly how we move and how we do to decide with our product, and how we of course help our customers do as well with Growth Hackers experiments. I
yeah,
have a
that's
couple of
awesome.
questions here
Just
from Barbara
just
that
to
I
close
think that,
the sorry, just
yeah.
to close the question below behind. Um,
Mhm.
do you agree as well that instead of be sharing like all the experiments can be an inspiration for others, but at the
Mhm.
end there are some specific cases in each telco, in each industry, in each company, that the best way to understand how to make growth experiments is to understand the method by itself. And once you understand the method, you can follow and you can generate these experimentations. And then if you
Definitely.
are running out of ideas, there are a lot of experiments from different people that you can get.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. We see that we have a board of over 1,000 different ideas from companies in every industry, and they are tagged with what the idea will do for you instead of what industry it is from. Exactly for that reason. Sometimes you
Hmm.
can get inspired by a success story from a startup or another company in another regulated industry, and you can definitely apply that to your product if you of course adapt within your reality, your goals, your
Hmm.
prioritization, so the timing for your business, if that will make sense or not. And the first layer, you already said, your data. You always start with analysis, and I
Hmm.
think that's a mindset that I wanted to bring. This question comes from Barbara, and she asked something that I think is very timely. She says, I wonder, how are you and your team dealing with this process of breaking silos at Telefonica? Because this is one challenge that not all companies have, but all large companies have. To grow, you must break walls and you break
Yeah,
things. Not all
yeah,
of your experiments will be complete as it worked or successful, some of them, and sometimes most of them, will be completed as it did not work, but we learned, and the learning
Mm-hmm.
is the goal, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there you go. I think that that's a great question from Barbara. Working in silos is the typical thing in big companies. So what we started to do, and after we noticed that we couldn't move as fast as we wanted, we started to create this method called product thinking. So what's product thinking? This comes from a mixture of product management and design thinking culture. So we are trying constantly to create working groups coming from different areas with a common objective, and to create different experiments in that small groups that are multidisciplinary. It's a kind of a squad, right? But I don't want to call it squad, because like if you started using agile concepts, everybody starts mixing. And the idea is not just to be agile, but to make sure that we are working as a group, that we have a representative, one person for every from every area that we need to be involved, to understand that it's a common problem, and after we understand that it's a common problem, find solutions. And it seems to be easy, but to leave the egos behind, and to move, trying like to be seen as one team, is the most difficult part. Like we need sessions of months just to make sure that everybody gets into the project, understand, and then to make the buy-in, and after that we can move. But the thing is that we are working with people, right? With persons. So we need to make sure that the mindset changes. We need to make sure that we create the environment and the context where people feel safe and feel like it's part of something. And after doing that, the whole process will roll on. But the hardest part is to make sure that we break those mindsets and try to be one team.
And
So with
Marivi,
product
speaking,
thinking, we are trying to stretch our
yeah,
relationships.
that's rich, really. That's really interesting as a concept to bring everyone to the same page and not calling common names too.
Yeah,
So you
yeah.
don't get, other contexts on the table that are not actually to
There
be
you go.
there.
There you
Yeah.
go.
And
Because, for example,
yeah.
if we call it a squad, a lot of people is like, "Oh, okay, so we need a scrum master." And no, there is no. We do not need a scrum master here. What we
Yeah.
need is to be one team, and
Yeah.
everybody with each role. But what we are trying to do is small groups of people that
Mhm.
wants to work in the common goal and try to deliver as soon as possible. So that's why we call it product thinking, and this is been working, so we are super happy about that. So I wanted to share it.
Yeah, that's amazing. And it's all about collaboration, and definitely it's a teamwork. Growth is a teamwork. We say
Yeah,
that a lot here. And
yeah,
considering this mindset changing that you were mentioning before, another question for Barbara is this new normal that we all are included. What challenges do global platforms that they will face, or to promote the growth methodology? Do you see something changing from 4 months ago to now in the way you do things?
definitely, definitely. And I was thinking a lot of this question, and I think that the first huge challenge is gonna be like big companies will accelerate their digital transformation. Like you cannot handle growth experiments, you cannot handle sustainable growth or sustainable incomes if you are not having data driven decisions, if you are not having the basic layers. And that's why I wanted to tell as well the Telefonica's story during this digital transformation. It's something that takes time. It takes resources, and I think that big companies will need to accelerate the digital transformation in the stage that they are. So at the end, they will have enough data. They will improve their data collection process, and they could improve their decisions as well, because they already have the basics, which is to have the data and the normalized data, the storage, everything in the cloud, all the people with access to make use of this data. So it's gonna be a challenge, I think. The other one is that we need, as product areas, we need to rethink about the new problems and the new needs that our customers have. I think that we have been changing that much that a lot of things are not the same. For example, exercising. We are exercising at home. Like we are not hanging outside, we're hanging online. Like we are watching a lot of TV. We already watch TV, but now we are watching more TV. So which kind of content should we need to generate? What about the homeschooling? So I think that another challenge is to make a stop and to take some time to think about what are the new problems, what are the new needs that our customers have, and what can we do to solve them. And the other challenge, it's gonna be to become omnichannel, an omnichannel service. Like you need to be in any online service that your customer could find you or could ask for help. Like you need to be provide multiple sales channels, provide multiple support channels. The customer wants everything as much as fast as it could be. So we need to have fluid customer service channels available, and this is going to be also a huge challenge for a lot of companies. I don't know if you
Yeah.
agree on these ones, but
Yeah,
for me,
I
those
totally
three.
agree. And I think that many companies, it's crazy because it's 2020 and we would think, no, all companies are digital by now. That's not
Mhm.
true. That's not
That's
true.
not true. Yeah.
It is much more true now in July than it was in January for sure.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
was totally forced. It was not a
Yeah.
natural process
Yeah.
or
It was like an acceleration.
yeah, yeah,
Mm.
definitely. And I want to skip here and ask a question coming from Natalia Carvalho. Natalia was here with us a couple of weeks ago, and we talked a lot about working from home, a lot of these topics that you just brought of the new normal. Natalia is living that with her team at Cisco, and she gave us like so much in terms of the insights that she had, not only with her team but with the customers that they have and how they had to adapt this new normal. All of their products, they had products that were not ready for product-led growth, and now they are in a question of weeks. And for a huge company like Cisco to do that, that was really impressive. So
Yeah.
Natalia is here now to ask you, Marivi, that she would love to see how your experiences are similar, yours and hers, and she wants you to share about your top three data-driven decisions this year.
Okay. So I'm managing an entertainment product. So it's the video product that you can subscribe or you can have at home, and it comes with a bundle of your high-speed connectivity connection or your broadband connection or your cable connection. So for us, definitely the roadmap, the prioritization of the features are data driven. So the whole time we're measuring which are the features, the top features that the users use, that the users loves, and that the users hates. So at the end, we are trying, when we are doing the prioritization, where we are trying to evolve those features, we use definitely data to take this to make this prioritization. So this year we have launched different features, new features. We have in Brazil a new partnership with YouTube, YouTube Kids, and Amazon. So it's included in the set-top box. So you can have it in your main screen, your big screen, available in the same product. So once you are watching any linear channel, you can switch directly to your YouTube or you can switch directly to your Amazon account. So it's seamless. It's a good experience for customers, and it took a lot of analysis where should be the placement, where should we how should we launch the app, and that's definitely data driven decision.
And are you collecting the first results already from these ones?
Yes, we
Yeah?
do.
How's it looking
And
so far? If
good,
you can
good, good.
share.
It's better than expected. Like Amazon, like we had a lot of doubts because in some Latin markets, Amazon is not that present yet, because you cannot have the delivery of the packaging, or you cannot have the whole services. So at the end, we are very surprised because a lot of Brazilians have Amazon accounts, and they are launching the application like twice a day, maybe. So it's
You
for
know
us
what?
surprising.
I just read the other day, this week, someone I know, they have written this article on how the Brazilian market should be the beta. I don't know if you've seen this, the beta market for anything. And I truly believe, even when the service is not here yet, which is the case you just described, Brazilians
Mhm.
are early adopters. They are trying
Yeah,
to
yeah,
use it
totally. So
firsthand.
we are super surprised, and we're super happy because we are getting the results and even better than we expected. So
Yeah.
I love to test in Brazilian markets. Love.
Yeah. We
And
did
it's
the
not.
same, so definitely it's something, yeah, it's something really, it brings a lot of data for you to work with other markets, maybe markets that you would have more time to digest or to have the product being used. Here, I'm in Brazil right now, it comes really fast and things are
Yeah.
used really fast. So definitely that brings a lot of layer if you're looking for more data, and especially on the usage or the engagement. It is definitely a go-to market for these ones.
Yeah, yeah. And for us, for example, like we are managing this entertainment product, the Brazilians have some habits that are really nice for us. Like for example, in every household has at least 2 or 3 TVs, smart TVs, and it can also they can also have 2 or 3 set-top boxes. So at the end, it's like generating a lot of data and giving us a lot of good feedback, so we can keep making the priority in our backlog to evolve or define new features. So that's perfect.
Yeah, changing a little
Another
bit
one.
of the this. Yeah, we have yeah, many many other ones. So let's go through them. So getting back to it from Silpa Krishna, it's a different question here, a different topic. We haven't touched this one before. How do I increase the brand image of a tiny retailer without burning my pocket? Also, how can I generate leads for the same? Do you have any ideas on that, Marivi? It's a complete different atmosphere, but we deal with these types of businesses on our daily, talking to perhaps partners or yeah.
Yeah, this is like I will try to answer, but with some special ideas as well. Like creating a branding strategy from scratch definitely is not easy. I think that there are like 3 main points to follow. The first one is to figure out who is the customer, what do they want, what do they don't want, what makes you as a brand special for these customers, and to identify the value proposition. Definitely, that's for me like the first step. The second one is maybe to create the image and tell a story. Like if you are a startup, tell a story, create a relationship with the brand and with the customer, and foster like credibility and trust. I think like in comparison with big companies, sometimes for us it's not that easy after having good or bad experiences to keep a good relationship with some customers. So if you are a startup, just like make a click from your heart directly, tell your story, and the customers will understand it better, and definitely will feel like they are identified with the brand. And the third one is like run a lot of experiments. Like in big companies, it's really hard to be launching a lot of experiments because you have to imply a lot of areas, and you have to make sure that everything is super controlled. So if you are a startup, conduct as much as experiments as you can and enjoy. enjoy while
Definitely.
doing that because you are agile and you are quick, so you can
Hmm.
change quickly as well. So
Yeah.
some
And I
crazy
think the
ideas.
mindset should be learning, right? I think we
Yeah.
have, even startups can have this type of mindset where we are going towards a deploy. Like, let's deploy this, let's bring this brand to the world, let's finish this business and put the brand out there.
Mm,
I think this type of mindset should be changed within not only big companies. Big companies sometimes have understood that because they know that if they don't evolve, the market will, and they will be behind.
mm,
And maybe other tiny players will become bigger suddenly. That has happened recently in huge industries. But
yes.
yeah, for the startups, it's the same. You're not deploying and launching your business. You are learning every day, and take that idea from having a date to cut the tape, and
Hmm.
suddenly the business is open and things will be that way. That won't
Hmm.
happen. If you want to survive and thrive, that won't happen. You have to keep
Yeah.
learning, keep experimenting every single day. So
Yeah.
definitely, I love that answer. Learning, experimenting, and learning is the answer, even for branding, for anything, not only for products and services, but for branding as well. We have a
Yeah.
question that comes from two people
Just
here.
to close, sorry, just to
Oh
close
yeah,
this question, and I think
sure.
that for startups as well, it's really important to control and to understand the traffic. Like use some basic analytics and try to make sure to understand where does the main traffic comes, which change in your experiments can increase or decrease. So in that iteration process, make sure that you are measuring. And there are a lot of some like crazy ideas that I just wanted to share, like for example the like you can use special content, you can target posts to specific audience, you can include interactions with the subscribers, you can have, for example, you can work with another brand and to make sure that you have a message and you can share the message, use target ads that is cheap and you will not burn your pockets right away. So you can use
Yeah, that's
targeted
a great
ads.
idea, actually. I've seen other startups doing that in the early beginning, connecting with a partner,
Hmm.
someone that has a similar audience than yours.
Hmm.
And that from that connection, bringing, of course, it takes a lot of work to create the partnership, but once it's
Hmm.
there, you can definitely have a lot more traction quicker. And in terms of branding, that the question relates to branding, you can also borrow some of the credibility from the other brand that is in the
Hmm.
market for years and you're just launching. I think connecting things makes, I mean, it triggers some points in our minds, and we connect these brands together. We usually, human beings work like that. We will see both as the same.
Yes, yes, and we want to help each other. So at the end, it's like natural, right? Is I think that is a good strategy if you are a startup and you are starting. There are some other ideas. For example, they make sure that you use videos instead of using just images. I don't know if you guys know, but there is a rise in the mobile video consumption, and people love to watch videos, watch TikTok or Instagram videos. So make sure that you create content around video that could be something differentiate you from another brand. And another one is like give away a lot of free stuff people likes to receive things and will follow you and will repost and will retweet just in order to get something for free. And it can be whatever, and it can be something super simple, but people likes that as well. People like that. Or another idea is to host discussions or presentations. It's like to move your community and to have more followers or more, or having a growth there. Just I
Great.
wanted to share that.
Yeah, definitely appreciate it. Thanks, Marivi, for all of these suggestions. I think Silpa has at least a maybe a small one, but they have now a roadmap where to start.
Yeah, some
And
ideas.
yeah, Anne and Luis asked the same question. They want to know what are the difference or the key differences between the entertainment category consumption between markets and continents? What do you see in common or that is different? We actually had like 4 or 5 of the same question that is this one.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll have here some notes. I want to share some data here. The global digital media revenue is expected to grow to 183 billion by 2024. And the US and the European markets will approach a saturation, and China and the rest of the world will grow significantly. So it depends on which market do you want to in which market do you want to focus. But for us, when we, as a Telefonica, when we talk about digital media, we are talking about video on demand, digital music, video gaming, and e-publishing, ebooks. So for us, the key market indicators and the differences between the markets are based in the internet penetration, the broadband subscriptions, which is a big part of our business, and is big part of the telco businesses as well. The connections speed is really important as well, because depending on that, you can have different products or you cannot have that products. So it's better not to have it, and instead of have it with low quality. And the smartphone penetration for us is really important as well. So in when making an analysis of the countries or the markets, we take that in consideration in every business case. And the other part is the mostly around the consumer. So how is the consumer spending? How is the growth population, the urban population, and how much the people in those countries is willing to invest in game consoles. At least for us, that's something that we can that help us to segment the markets. And giving you more data around gaming. Gaming is gonna be a very sexy industry that will grow a lot. China shows the biggest growth in video gaming, and it has a compound annual growth rate of 3.5, and then follows Europe with 2.5 and USA with 1.4. In Europe, UK is the biggest market for gamers, and it's followed by France and Germany. And the smartphone dominates as a gaming platform. So there are gonna be the mobile consoles will struggle. So there are gonna be a lot of interesting things that will happen in the upcoming years.
Wow, looking forward to those for sure. That's something that there's so much to happen still in the gaming consumption regarding the how our gadgets are not prepared at all for for them
Or
yet.
gadget and our networks. So
Oh yeah.
that's a good question when we are talking about the telco companies, because we are like the main enabler to make sure that the gaming, the video, the music will be spread with high quality and in a real time, as much as similar as we would like to have. That's why the 5G deployments will be very important as well. And that's a great question that they did, because the telco need to move forward and to create new revenue streams, and these areas of digital media will create a lot of incomes for the telco.
And do you see any types of changing these past few months of the year? I imagine that these are also the most, I mean, the entertainment category, the consumption is booming right now, right? You mentioned something around the videos and how people are wanting to watch more videos. The AMAs were before March, they were held completely written and by reading, and now we brought these conversations here live for a reason. We noticed that even between among our own community, but I think that's everywhere. I mean, everyone wants more connection, right?
Yeah, and yes, it has been a change since everything, like the quarantine is started. Instead of having one or two devices, we now at home have at least 5 devices connected. So it implies for us as a telco to make sure that we provide the best connectivity, the best connection, the best speed connection that is stable. And when we have everyone at the same time having like making a competition for these capacities, we struggle to keep the 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 best levels to perform and to give the best service to all of our customers. So it's been challenging. It's been a lot of people and a lot of teams have been working like 24/7, like just to make sure that we have all the service in place and it's the best service. And for example, while we are having this at home, here we have two smart TVs and everyone is watching something. So and we still have a good connection. So imagine this in every in all the homes in all the countries. So it's been challenging, but it's
Yeah,
also
definitely.
been great. It's been great because it can demonstrate that we were ready, that our capacity is still good, and that we can support any other kind of troubles like these ones, like these big troubles for
Wow,
the world.
hopefully this will be the worst you've seen. And we
Yeah,
can
hopefully.
grow from here using all of this information and these challenges to grow,
Totally.
to see the opportunities and come up with opportunities from this. Well, we have another question
Yeah.
here, really interesting. We're reaching the end of the session. We have time still for one or two questions, so let's get to them. Gaurav asks you, he says, I want to ask, what does it take to achieve a retention rate of more than 80%? I think that goes for any industry, but especially the software industry or the um, app industry. We always want to have more retention, right? Not only acquire customers, but we've been saying this a lot. And on the Growth Hackers Conference, we will have sessions on this topic specifically on how retention is growth. And it means more and more growth than it used to. So definitely, how do you achieve these levels of retention, and how do you experiment to get there?
So, I mean, I will watch that presentation in the Growth Hacker conference. Definitely, I think that this one is a really hard question because the customer retention is really important to any growing company because it measures not only how successful we are at acquiring new customers, but how successful we are satisfying our current customers, which is hard. And I think that it depends not just in the market, but also in the market, in the product, and the user. So in the market, it's because of the pricing strategy, for example, and the benchmarking as well of what's going on with the rest of the competitors. From the product point of view, the features that enable the cross-selling, the upselling, the personalization, what features make that the customer stays with us, and what makes the difference for the customer, and the user part, which is like if we have loyalty programs, or how can we create that bonding or that trust feeling that will make that the customer um, will be with us as much as we can, and maybe we can retain the customers longer. That's for me like the three
Yeah,
main.
I think
I don't know.
watching the behavior and the experience the customer has, and especially the dropping points, are something to learn from. sometimes we're there experimenting so much with acquisition and activation. And I think the more we experiment with actually onboarding and in the usage itself of every feature, every screen is an opportunity, right, to improve. And watching where the users are dropping, this is the first thing to, I think for retention, this is the first thing to do. Like, where are people dropping? Are they getting, how far are they getting? And if they're not going that so far, especially if you have a pretty complex product or a large product or an app with multiple functionalities, we think people are using everything. It took so much for us to put everything up there, right? So we think, oh, people will love that. And we experiment and people actually sign up and people actually start using. But how do we keep them using every day and perform habits and turn this usage into habits and actually take the value that we expect? These are questions to be asked every single day. And I think that layer of the hourglass is to be one of the first ones if you want to keep growing, and not only for once you deploy or launch your product, but especially when before you think of launching anything else or any new feature, go to your go to your retention metrics
sure
and
that is,
experiment around them first, right?
yes, yeah, totally, yeah,
Improving
agree
what
on
we
that.
already have. And sometimes that's for many teams, and especially developers, that's not that exciting, right? The blank canvas is always
Yeah,
attractive,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
So
totally
that's a
agree on
struggle
that.
every day.
Yes.
So we have a question here, Marivi, from Gary, and he asks, what if he should run growth experiments for 2 weeks? That's the usual for experimentation process for the growth methodology, or if he should run them until they hit the sample size. So how long does it take for him to actually be able to check the hypothesis and see this worked or didn't work? How do you usually do
Like,
it?
I think that experiments should be time boxed, definitely, by minimum 2 weeks or at least 1 week. Like if you have 1 week, you will have a chance to test every day by itself. But if you have 2 weeks, you will have you can recognize if there are patterns. And I think that the largest it could be 1 month. In some big organizations, for us, for example, we cannot launch experiments like every 2 weeks or just by 2 weeks. Like most of the time, we launch experiments at least every month, and it takes like 1 month or 2 months, depending on how much data are we getting, and it depends on the market as well. I think that we have some numbers here. Like the average company has 215 working days a year, and so if we run one experiment at least every week, every 2 weeks, we have around 22 slots. And if we use the success ratio here, that is around 30, 40, 30. um, it's really important to use all the slots. So in our case in Telefonica, we're launching experiments, and it takes 1 month because it takes a lot of time to align all the areas as well, governance, compliance, legal, internal bureaucracy. So it takes a lot for us to launch experiment. But once we is launched, it takes for us at least 1 month.
That's
And
interesting. Yeah.
mm,
You touched some points that we found out on our the last growth study that we launched. We launch one every year. The last one we noticed that the common point between the most successful growth teams is actually the amount of experiments they run. So the higher the number for amount of total experiments a year, the higher the success rate that they can give back to the whole company. And by success, it does not mean the experiments are being successful, because the success rate or the it worked rate for experiments for the successful teams is up to and around 25%. Can you believe it?
25.
For every 4 experiments, 1 will work and 3 won't, but they will inform you of the others for sure. So the learning is the goal. That's what we say based on this data that we collected from hundreds of teams all over the globe.
Yeah, and totally agree on that. I mean, the more you experiment, the more you get learned lessons. So for the next experiment, it's like you are trying to make sure that you are going through to the problem directly. And sometimes we need to make sure that is this way, no, is this way, no, okay, so this way should be. So it's part of the learning journey. It's part of how can we try to grow. And yes, experimentation is part of our daily basis
Amazing.
work.
Marivi, thank you so much. Our hour is, I mean, it's gone and so quickly too.
Oh,
Yeah, we have a lot more questions for you. So people have gone to the AMA page. They have posted the questions there. If you have time and when you have time, if you want to go there, go back there and answer some more, please. You're most welcome. And we are so lucky to have you here. So lucky to learn from
thank
you.
you.
I truly loved it. I truly learned so much in this past hour. I hope you too. You that are here watching with us and maybe watching later or watching live. You're also invited for the Growth Hackers Conference coming up September 1st and 2nd. 100% virtual. Go to growthhackersconference.com, grab your free ticket as you can up until July 31st.
Yeah.
Yes, the last day of the month is the last day for free tickets, so enjoy. Thanks so much, Marivi, and yeah, hopefully we'll get together soon.
Thank you very much, Amelia. Thank you for the opportunity. It was my
Thank
pleasure.
you. Have a good
Thank you.
one.
Bye bye.
Bye.